Hillsborough.
Local forecast. This is WeatherScope.
Well, it's a wet, cold night in parts of the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. Good evening, I'm Kim Perez.
And I'm Paul Emick. The wind is howling in the Plain States tonight. You can hear it. It's an ominous sign of things to come for the east as a major winter storm starts to come together.
Right.
We'll talk about that on the way. We'll have all those snowy details in the forecast just a few minutes away. But let's talk a bit about what's happening in Florida, what has been happening. Quite a Saturday for Florida with everything from a record high temperature in Miami to tornadoes and flooding in central Florida. 2 tornadoes tore through Polk and Osceola counties early today. 8 people injured and nearly 100 homes damaged or destroyed. Wow, the worst of the damage occurred between Orlando and Lakeland near Haines City. And Orange Crop also suffered extensive damage in the area. Road crews still working even tonight to clear away trees and debris. Other areas of central Florida dealing with yet another problem, flooding. Heavy rains over the past several days have inundated the city of Clearwater with the streets that are flooded, making it hard to get around. Many homes sitting in several feet of water. Just a reminder, try to avoid driving in any flooded streets because you just don't know how deep the water is. Even if you think you know the area, if you can't see the bottom of the road, then you don't need to be driving through there. Here's what's happening. Things are drying out in Florida just a bit. Now the front, that's a cold front, meaning it's the leading edge of a cooler air mass. Also the cooler air is drier. Finally some drying relief into Florida. You could use it. In the warm sector, it makes sense. This is the leading edge of cooler air. The air would be relatively warmer ahead of it. In that warm, juicy air, we had not just a record high temperature, but incredible amounts of rainfall. Here came the front, though, to bring an end to it. As it slid across Florida, you've been drying out. How much so? Well, tonight we still have rain in south parts of Florida, but Orlando, much better night. Right, International Boulevard, maybe around the Church Street area tonight, Orlando, Haines City. All the problems you've seen, at least things are drier tonight and tomorrow to get some damage controlled, things picked up and whatnot. Tampa, around Palmetto, Haines City, much quieter tonight, but around Miami and even toward Fort Lauderdale, toward Boca, an occasional shower still coming down, even for the Keys, around Duval Street in Key West, but showery for Key Largo and Homestead and Plantation, Florida, too. Rainfall amounts, though, amazing. On an ordinary year, where you see normal, look at those numbers beneath that, 1.89, 1.85, 2.83 for Jacksonville. Okay, those are the averages, or the normal you expect to see between now, between what has happened thus far this month. I'm trying to say since December 1. But you have seen over 15 inches in Tampa, close to 13 inches in Orlando, and close to 10 for Jacksonville. An amazing, amazing rainfall. Despite that, we also had record heat, even though the rain around Miami has been around record high temperatures. Again, ahead of the front, 84 degrees for Miami was the record high reading there. Yesterday, we tied a record in Miami and Miami Beach in the 80s. Here's how things look now. The cold front ushering in the cooler air. Miami, your air may be just a little bit rain cool. The rain may have cooled it off a bit, but much cooler and drier for Tampa, 56-48 to Jacksonville. As if this mess weren't enough, up the coast a bit, here's what's happened just since Friday morning. Some of those highest of elevations, parts of Kentucky into West Virginia and onward, where you see the gray shading like right there, that means 6 to 12 inches of snowfall. This is kind of a wild night, even toward Philadelphia, Harrisburg, and Lancaster. Still, the snow is coming down. There's low pressure. Low pressure spins in a counterclockwise fashion, kind of a moisture magnet pulling in moisture and cold air. It makes sense the warmest air is in the warm sector here, like where Florida was last night. That's where the warmth has been drawn in. Cold air pulled in on this side. Winds blow from high to low, so we're dealing with the best batch of cold air from the north, on the north side of it. Quite snowy around New York City tonight, but on West Hampton we've seen rain mixed in at times. Boston, Newton, Hartford, Providence, even toward D.C., an occasional shower, but some snowfall in this area, and more of it built to hang on. Just a few flakes, though, still flying around Cleveland, around Parma for the night, and around Pittsburgh as well. Along the coast, though, we'll deal with windy conditions with gale warnings in effect in a couple of spots. Let's have a little discussion about action in the west. With that, here's Kim Perez.
Thanks, Paul. Well, a front in the plains and a deepening low-pressure area along the Canadian border are spreading snow across the nation's midsection. That system is just about to take a dive in the southeast, making for a very interesting forecast. And we're going to get to that forecast, but, you know, one of the players that is going to make this interesting forecast is an area of low pressure and a very strong area of energy aloft. And that is right now coming through the plains, okay? So this will eventually affect the southeast. Right now it's affecting the plains. Wind has been the big story here. The front range, it has been very windy today. We have the gusts behind the front out of the northwest, close to 80 miles per hour in some areas. We have not seen that high in a while, but we could see the possibility here in Denver and Colorado Springs later on tonight for the winds to pick up a little bit. Okay, here's the front. Notice how close the isobars are together, the lines of equal pressure, and the closer they are, the stronger winds you're going to see. And that's what we're seeing here. We're also seeing some light snow, and we'll talk about that in a second, but look at the areas where we could see gusts up to 70 miles per hour. Cheyenne, maybe even Sheridan, Wyoming. The Black Hills for sure seeing gusts to 70 miles per hour, so very windy out there tonight. And with the temperatures on the chilly side, 23 in Denver, Lander at 22. It feels like it's 2 below in Denver right now, 3 at Lander. So very bitter, cold wind chills out there tonight. Here it is. Here's that strong system that will eventually be working south and east and affecting the southeast and then the northeast in a day or two. But we do have some moisture available, so we're seeing some light snow being squeaked out of this, and it has been very light.